Hello everyone, I'm Cyril from the Robot Studio and welcome to our tutorial on opensourceandroid.org. If you go on this website, you will find all the information on electronics, mechanics and computing on how to make your compliant humanoid robot like this one. So in this video you will learn all the steps to go from this 3D printed hand to that one fully assembled and working. So to start, you can order online or print yourself this hand. It comes already assembled like that. You can order it on Shapeways on the Robot Studio account. It is a 3D printed hand 05 3D 06. So alternatively, you can print this hand yourself with an extruder 3D printer. For this, you can go on Thingiverse and you will find on the Robot Studio account, in the designs, you will find one called Robot Hand with a quick lace ligaments. There you will find all the different parts of the fingers that you can print separately and then assemble. And you will need some ball bearings, so to put in the finger joints like this. So for this you will need two sizes. So first, the inner diameter, the ball diameter is 6 millimeters. Outside it will be 10 millimeters, and the width would be in 3 millimeters for all the joints, and you will need one 2.5 millimeters just to insert between the fingers to have something to press on when you assemble. And next you will need some fishing line like this, nylon fishing line. So the fishing line I'm using on this tutorial is a 0.7 diameter. You will need some elastics, so to make the tendons for the finger to open like that. You will need some glue, like some super glue. You will need some tendons or some kind of string. I use like this nylon with a 5 core inside, so you can link each one to one finger. And afterwards you can have one motor pulling this side to pull all the fingers together. And you will need some Teflon tubes as well, just in these holes to pass the tendons through, so it's just for the friction is much better. It might get difficult for you to get this Teflon tube, so instead a very good solution is just to get on some bicycle shop this brake cable. So we use the brand Shimano, and in those ones you can find a similar tube, much smaller, liner tube that you can use for all the fingers. Yeah. As for the tools, you will need just a pair of pliers like this to insert the ball bearings in the fingers joint. You might need an adjustable plier just to help to have to put them in position in a parallel way. So for drilling you can use either the power drill, which will be very efficient and fast, otherwise you can also use a pin chuck like this with a 1mm drill and a 1.5mm drill. So if you're using a 1mm elastic like this, you will need a 1.2mm drill, and don't forget your glasses when you drill. You will also need a light and a pair of scissors like this. You will need a needle tool like this as well, and a marker. And you will need a cutting tool like this to cut those parts here. So first you will need a 1.5mm drill. You can attach it this tool, and you will use it to make sure the clearance is correct on each finger, in fact, on the crossing ligaments here. Because some powder just gets stuck in. So that's easier to do first before putting any bearings in. So you just have to repeat this for each finger parts and each finger of the hand here. So just make sure you did all of them. Yeah, first step done. So as you can see, the fingers are hollow, they have a hole inside running all the way through. So this is in order to put some cable for electronics, sensors for the fingers. So you can see there's also some powder there inside, so you will need to remove this if you want to use those holes. Now that's good. You can see all the way through the fingers. Okay. So there will be the same issue in this section. You will have to get rid of the powder. And normally the tiny section are fine. This part of the finger and here is okay. Okay. So after you've done the diagonals on each finger, you will have to do make sure the clearance is correct for all the tiny holes where we will put the fishing line later on. So for that there will be 2 on each finger section, plus the top 2 here on the middle section here. So when you do this, you will use a 1mm drill on the power drill, and just make sure you hold the 3D printed part very lightly, and just let the drill guide it through the holes. And so just aim in the correct direction, like this, and just let it do that. So just drill little by little and remove some materials each time you do this. So like this, and remove the plastic on the drill. sure to not put any strength on the when you manipulate the fingers, otherwise you might break the drill and it's very difficult to get it out. So don't forget those two here, from here. And then those two so for those two, don't forget to remove just drill a little bit and remove the plastic. Okay, so now the hand is ready for the next step. So now we will put the bearings in the finger joints. So for that you will need 30 bearings of 6 by 10 by 3 and only one 6 by 10 by 2.5 millimeters. So you will use it on each joint every time you assemble. So we'll take 2 of those. Let's start with this finger, for example. So here you insert the 2.5 here. You put in position the 2 others. And then it takes a bit of practice to using this pair of pliers to insert them like this, and then you can eventually use this adjustable one to just make it flat like this. Okay, and then you could use any kind of tool like this to just remove this bearing. So we have a joint here, and then you have to repeat this for all the fingers and all the joints here. Okay. So you can put them a bit in diagonal like this and force. And press on. Okay. It's a bit more difficult here. can force a little bit the fingers like this to access the joint. So now we have a finger like so you can easily put this one. Here it's a bit more awkward, you have to force it from here. Like that. And then use this one. To finish. We are done. Okay, so now we will do the lacing of the fingers. So you can prepare those tools. Make sure you have 3D printing hand, this fishing line. You will need a needle tool like this. You will need this light, the marker and the scissors. So I will show you on this finger, and then you just have to repeat it on all the fingers. It's exactly the same pattern. So for that we will need 2 different lengths of fishing line. So we will first join those 3 sections with a 40 centimeters length, and we will join those 3 here with a 50 centimeters length. So we just cut them. Okay. We have one 40 centimeters. And 150. So to start, once you have your 40 centimeter length, use the light to burn one end like this, just to form like a ball, and just wait a few seconds for it to be solid. So that will prevent the fishing line to go beyond the limits. So you can see on this fingertip, we will start on the right hole, there's 2 holes here, and we will finish on the left one. So now you can see that it cannot go beyond here. Continue just by following the trace here. Here you will go on this diagonal, so you can aim like this and just naturally go there. Now here we will do some special loop lacing around here to reinforce this structure. So that's where the tendon will go under later on to activate the finger. So it has to be strong here. So for that we will here wrap this around the diagonal. So here under you can see this structure. There's 2 diagonals. So one going from bottom to top here, and one going from top to bottom here. So when we start like this, we will wrap on the side under and go to the up one. At least that's how it has to be done when it's finished. Maybe it's better for the beginning to do like this. So here you can just loop it like this under and put on this hole here. So just remember as you tight it to go in the bottom one first, put it tighter, and the top one here. So you have to maintain those 3 bearings aligned, so the finger should be straight, and once it's straight then you can pull harder to have more tension on the lacing. Okay, and just continue here like that. So on the same diagonal as before, but the other way here. So the two fishing line might collide inside, so you may have to push a bit more if necessary. Once you got up here, you will notice this structure here. It has 2 grooves, so one very deep here under and one on the top. So we will use this mechanism to pass the fishing line from the deeper one to the top one to increase the strength at the end. But first, now we will just wrap it behind on the deepest one, and we will go back on the other side just the same way. It's a symmetrical mechanism. Okay, and here now we are here. Continue here like that. Yep. And here we will follow the same pattern but inverted. So for this one we will wrap it like that, and we will have to go inside the loop and go back inside here. So we will use the other diagonal. So from this side it will be the top one, and this side the bottom one. So this way you see that the fishing line crosses once on the top of the finger and once on the bottom here. On the diagonal it crosses one time. Now you can pull a bit more, okay, and once here under, just put it back to here. Okay, so now you can pull the fishing line on the side like this. You can take a marker and just put one dot here. Okay, so now we will use the mechanism that I showed before. So we will take this kind of needle tool to remove this loop, remove it completely backwards here. So go around with the needle on one side, go around like this and remove it like this. So now you can bend the top of the fingertip. So you see that the black dot appears like that. So you can cut roughly half centimeters like this and just use the light to burn this side now up to the black dot roughly. Just put a bit like this. As it's a bit soft, you can even press it down to make it neater, just to form the shape of the fingertip. So now the final step we're doing is to use this needle to put it back, but this time on this top groove here. So just be careful when you do this. So you can do like this by forcing around and like that. So now it's done. So now it's increase the tension on the lacing. It's quite strong now and it makes a nice motion of finger joint here. Okay, so now we will do the same thing but on those three parts to link them together and reinforce this part here for this time. Okay, so for that just take the length of 50 centimeters as before. Burn this here, wait a little and start on the right side. Just reappears here. So from here continue here. Oops. You can bend a little the finger and see it has to continue here. Okay, so now there will be from here also a special pattern to follow. So again, you have to cross the wire, as you can see on this one, only one on the top and one on the bottom. So from here we will loop around like that, and come on the top on the hole on this side. So you have to when you can see that this wire is coming out from here, you have to put the other hand, you wrap around the finger and you put this hand on the right side of this one. Okay, so that way you form this pattern. And to make it wrapping, so as before, you will start from this side, you will start to lace on the bottom groove, the bottom of the diagonal, and come up. And you can pull harder to make it tight. Okay, now you can continue here. So here it will be the long diagonal that will come out here. If it came out on this side up, that means it got on the wrong path inside, so you have to make sure it goes straight from the top here to the bottom here. Okay, and from here you can see, so as before we had two different grooves, one to do the first assembly and then one to increase to make it more tight, I mean. So here you can see there's one here in the bottom and one on the top. So we will first start on this one, like that. And make sure when you do the assembly that it's the three bearings are really straight, and this finger has to be up all the way. Okay, so once here, go on the other diagonal, so from here to, you can see here you have to push a bit. Okay, it works. To keep it straight, maybe put one finger here to maintain, to be sure you maintain the fishing line on this groove, and go here. Basically follow the way. Okay, so from here then you will have to wrap on this side and make a loop. This time we'll go inside the loop and in here. Oops. and use the other diagonal. Put it tight. You can bend the finger a little to put it here. So here it has to go on this diagonal. So make sure you aim on that direction. Up. You can twist a bit the loop to force it to go if it doesn't work. Can bend a little the finger too, like that. Make sure you still have this like this, and make it go here. So the same way, put it backwards like this, use the marker to draw a dot. Okay. So use the needle the same way, just to remove this one. Bend the finger, cut a bit after the black dot, 0.5 centimeter. Burn. Make sure you just burn this one. Wait a few seconds. You can do this to make it like a cone shape to fit in the hole nicely. Now when it's hard, just use this needle to wrap it around the top groove. Like this. So by changing the way you align the joint, you can form a natural open shape, slightly bent, like I have done here, or you could change it as a very straight or more bent, depending your application. Yeah. So yeah, now once you've done this one, you just have to repeat these steps, all the steps for those three here, and for the thumb. That's done. For the thumb, it's very similar. We just start here and finish here. And it's just exactly the same as the other fingers. Just a bit more awkward to do. For the next step, so if you want to use some kind of tendons, cable, anything to just pull those fingers, it might be better, yeah, for less friction to put some tubes like this Teflon tube in. So the Teflon tube you can use is in fact 5 millimeters outside diameter, and the inside is 3. Okay. So from this kind of tube, just cut for those ones for a length of 8 millimeters or about. Like this. And cut with the scissors. Use this tool, this plier, just to make them round again. So once you cut the Teflon tubes, just insert them here. like this. So after you put the 8mm Teflon tube in this part here, we will put for each finger, so 5 times, we will put some lengths of 7mm here and here. And the way it works is that you can see this one is a bit smaller than this one. So we will use this cutting tool to cut on this direction the length. So we will cut on both sides to have like a half cylinder, and a one a bit smaller than the other one. So that way we will use the small one in here and the bigger one in here. First you can mark 7mm here and cut and just mark a dot. This, oops, like that. So that way you can cut 5 small tubes. Like that. Okay, so once you have your 5 bits of Teflon tube, you will cut them in a smaller pieces. So you will cut in the length like this on either side with this tool. And now we will need 2 small bits. So we will first, if you take the diameter here, you have to make it a bit shorter, so cut here. So this way you have a bigger one and a smaller one, and the bigger one you have to cut it again, otherwise it won't fit inside the hole of the hand. So remove like this bit. Okay. So if you try it and it doesn't fit, just cut it a bit more. Like this. You can take the small one and try to insert it from here. If it's the correct size, you should be able to just push it a little to start, and then you can finish with this plier to force it under. Then you can see there's like a cylinder shape carved inside, so you should be able to put the Teflon tube exactly in place. and use the needle to make the hole better and form like a cone. Like this. Like this, and finish with the plier. And reopen the holes with the needle. Okay, so now we have the finger ready to have a tendon. So just repeat the same for all of them. Now I will show you another technique you can use for the Teflon tubing. Mark it here. Use this cutting tool to cut the plastic around. And use this one to try to find where you can split the spring. And cut. Then afterwards you can open the Teflon tube with this needle. So make sure you don't have any piece of metal that falls inside the Teflon, otherwise you will damage your cable each time you use it. Only for those four we will keep the metal coil and the plastic around, because it just perfectly fits inside. So it's very neat. And for the two other ones we will remove the inside liner Teflon, and we will just use this one inside for those. Then once your little tube is ready, just insert it here. Push with a plier. It should just perfectly fit. So for those two ones, on each finger, we will have to remove the liner tube, Teflon tube, inside the brake cable. So for that, you can use the cutting part of this tool, plier. You can cut like this, and then break it to see the coil. Then you can try to insert the cutting tool between two metal parts, and then cut one like this. So once you have done this, you can use a cutter or a similar cutting tool to just open the plastic part. And remove it. Then here you can use some tools like this. Try to reopen the coil. And from here you can take the Teflon tube like that. Then just recut it nicely like this. So you can measure the length you need. For this finger I will need 2 times 7 millimeters. So just insert it here. And here. So once this is done, use the needle tool to make like some cone shape. You can force it like this, and on the other side as well. You can deform a bit the Teflon, so that way it can never get out. Same thing for this one. Especially if it's a bit too loose. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so now once all your fingers are this low friction mechanism, we will now go on to the elastics. So we will add some 2 elastics running from here to here and from here to here to act as a passive tendon using this kind of elastics. So that way, when the actuator pull the finger like this, when you release it, it will naturally reopen like that. So if you're using a 1mm elastic, you might need a 1.2mm drill to reopen all the holes. So you can reuse this tool, for example. And reopen those. And last thing, we will reopen the tiny hole here. It doesn't go all the way through, just a few millimeters. Just enough to glue the elastic. So for each finger you can cut 25 centimeters of elastics. Like this. So we will use a unique elastic to make the two tendons. Then just take some super glue, tissue, and we will start on this finger. So take one elastic like this and pass it through the hole on the left here. So as you can see, the one on the left will go on the bottom and the other one on the right will go on the top one. So it's better to put the glue on the elastic itself, just above the tissue, rather than in the hole, because if the glue gets on the fishing line, then the finger will be locked. So let's put one drop. So you should see a small drop like this. And then try to insert directly where it should go. So it will go all around this as well. So push it to the bottom of the hole. And tight here a bit more to make it more flat. So while you wait for this one to dry, you see there's a second hole. So the other end of the elastic, we will pass it through this one. And this one will go on the top. So we will need a similar drop of glue. And pass it through the hole. Just like this. can give a bit more tension. Like that. And then wait for it to dry. When it seems to be enough, you can go and do the second finger. Okay. So now make sure all of them are in place and that the glue dried. Now you can pull a bit here. So now we will use the marker to mark some dots where we want the elastic to be attached to this part. So the idea is that when you bend the finger, it should reopen automatically. So for that, you have to pull here. Once it's open, it gives you an idea of how much tension you want in the elastic. You shouldn't put too much tension, otherwise you will damage the material itself. So once you have this, you can press here, bend the finger, you can see it automatically goes back. So that way you know you have the correct length. So just mark one dot on each part here. You can also pull and block with your finger the correct length. This way it's easier. Just one drop. So when you put some tension, make sure the elastics are in this tiny groove here. Both of them parallel like that. So we will do the same for all the other fingers. Okay. Okay, so now we can cut the elastics. You can leave 1 millimeter if you want, like this. and you can try to bend them. So now the next step is to add some tendons on the finger going through these holes. So then we can just pull the tendons with an actuator, a motor, or just manually, depending on the application. So let's start with this nylon cable. So I will show you how to do with this one. So it has 5 cores inside, so very useful to attach to each finger. So I will keep a long length for now. So depending on what you use as a tendon, there's different method you can use to attach them to the finger. So for now, to attach these ones, we will have to drill a tiny hole on each fingertip and just tie a knot at the other side. So as you can see on the wrist joint here, we have 5 holes. First, let's drill some holes here. So one mil hole should do the job. So you can do the hole a bit in diagonal, so it will be easier to pass the cable through. So just center it like this, and you can do it, for example, in the middle, about the middle of the joint. It's better to start perpendicular. Okay. So this one you can do at the same distance from the fingertip. So on this one here, you can easily push it like this to have a long length of the cords inside. Just take one here and just put it in the hole like that. Then in here. You may have to put some water . To have it easily going under here. And if need, use the needle . Like this. Try to do like this. Okay. If it's too difficult, you may drill with a bigger hole. So now we can tie a knot on this side. You can make a double. You can recut it here. And you can burn the end, so make sure it will not get undone. That. Put it back in. So now we have one tendon. If I pull, I can bend this finger. Okay, so let's do the same for all of them. So once you finish to attach the tendons, you can simply take like an aluminium stick of 16 millimeters diameter and put on the wrist joint. So that way you have a hand on a stick. So if you order the white plastic nylon hand, you can also play around with some dye technique, using some colors to make this nice colors like that. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you guys like this tutorial. Just let us know on the comments below and on the website as well if you need more help or the parts you found difficult to make in this tutorial, and just let us know what you made with this cool hand.